Dari, good morning. It is Thursday, October 2nd, and we are still in Bédoin, which is a village at the bottom of a mountain called Mount Ventoux. Now, why did we come here? So we came here yesterday, which was Wednesday, 1st of October, and the reason we came here was that there's a quite a famous cycling route up to this mountainous pass, which is, I think, 1,960 metres high, and I think it's a stage on the Tour de France, but not every year, so you have to be careful which year you come here, you know, if you want to be a spectator. Anyway, so we managed to journey down here on Wednesday. It was quite a long way to get to Bédoin. We had two different routes, and we chose the longer one because we thought it would be on a bit more motorway-ish or large road-ish, so that worked out reasonably well. We arrived at the town of Bédoin. We had a bit of difficulty finding the air. Now, on Garta's pre-planning map, we had an air with electricity and some other facilities. But when we got here, the air that we navigated to didn't have anything. But just next door was the municipal camping site. So for €15, we've got a nice flat-ish pitch with electricity, Wi-Fi about 300 metres away that we would have to walk to. But when you do walk to it, it's really fast. And the view to a lot of closed sports facilities, for example, the swimming pool that closed on August the 31st. Never mind. Anyway, that's all by the by. So yesterday, we unpacked the bicycles, got lots of gels and bars and water for the climb, and we set off. It's about 25 kilometres from here, and we made it. So it took us quite a while, and it is pretty hilly. There's different ways of getting up Mount Ventoux, and we chose the steep one. So it was 9% gradient most of the way, but then I think I did see a 10% and an 11%. My final few kilometres, I think 5 kilometres from the peak, there's a sort of big, I would say bikers rest stop, but it's more like a cyclist's rest stop. Then it's about 5k of slightly less steep climb, I would say, than the one that we approached the mountain from. So I'd recommend it to anyone who's a keen cyclist. Like I say, we stayed in Bédoin and we cycled the steep route for 25k, and then when you cycle back, you have obviously the option of coming the same way, which is the steepest way, or there are 2 or 3 other different routes. So we chose a route that we thought was going to be about 30 or 40k, and I think it ended up like 60k. So I think we did over 80k yesterday on the bikes. We had a bit of drama. So so just to let you know, at the mountain peak at Mount Ventoux at the top, there was nothing to see, nothing to do. There was a good view, and that's about it. It is kind of gusty at the top, so as you descend, it's for me a bit dodgy. Agata, even though she had her aero wheels, kind of shot past me. I was going very cautiously. My brakes are very uneven. It's kind of like brake, no brake, brake, no brake. And it's kind of like this kind of juddery feeling when you brake, which is not at all comforting. Anyway, so all was going well when we were cycling back. And then all of a sudden, as we were about, I don't know, about 20k away from the end, the whole of my back wheel kind of locked up. I thought, oh, I know what this is. So we stopped. And the first thing to notice was that we stopped, and after about a minute or two, luckily, well not luckily, but nicely, there's a Belgian man on a motorcycle stopped and asked us if we had any problems. It was very nice of him, and we said, no, I think we're fine, we know what it is. And sure enough, I've got a special 2-piece titanium and other fancy metal block on the back of my bike. And so there's the wheel, there's the block, and the block screws on to the spline of the back wheel with this screw down washer, and that washer just somehow unscrews itself. So when it unscrews itself, these 2 parts of this block just split open, and then the chain which is coming this way just doesn't know what to do, and of course there's all sort of jangly bits, and it all kind of crashes down to this is all rotating normally because it's the teeth, and that all goes down to the frame and just jams. So that's what happened yet again. Now this has happened before. I think it first happened on the Lausanne Triathlon when I had to stop in the middle of the triathlon and fix it just by hand tightening it. But I was better prepared this time, and we had a special tool to engage the spline to tighten it up. and we have like a makeshift Allen key, which I use as a sort of torque wrench for the whole of this device. So we managed to screw it up and get on the way again, but it was a bit traumatic. Luckily at the time I was only doing about 20 or 30k. I wasn't going super fast. Anyway, we arrived back here. We felt like heroes. We had a big long shower in the shower block, so that was all good. And then it was out to the restaurant. Now we got out to the restaurant area about 6:30, and by about 6:45, with a very poor internet connection, we were kind of looking at each restaurant and then going to TripAdvisor and seeing, is this restaurant any good? And it turns out that there was a really good restaurant, but we found out it was 3 kilometres walk away from the town centre, so that was off. And we looked around all the other restaurants. Now the problem was at about 7 o'clock, no one was really interested in serving us food. In fact, there was another couple that sat down at a restaurant, and they were waved on to a second restaurant, which we'd also followed them in a way and sat by, whilst still looking on TripAdvisor. And we left that second restaurant because, again, they were just so uninterested in serving us. I suppose it was early, and maybe by 7:38 it would be a bit better. But we had a secret agenda, which was to go to Carrefour, there's a Carrefour in the town, because we needed a few supplies for today, Thursday. So actually, if we had sat down for the meal, we would have missed the Carrefour. We would have had to get it this morning. So it all worked out well. We had a stay-at-home dinner, and on the way back from the Carrefour, as in we didn't get a meal, we got the Carrefour, came back. I did sit down at the Wi-Fi point and downloaded all my podcasts at some really fast speed, a couple of 100 megabytes of podcasts. So they all worked out quite well, really. So what's the learning points for yesterday, Wednesday? Well, the cycling worked out very well. We were nicely prepared for a strange cycling issue. We found the town very pleasant, but the restaurants weren't the best. Yet again, the French supermarkets seem to be very capable, and it's easily possible to get a good evening's food and wine from the supermarkets at a decent price. Mont Ventoux is not the biggest town, but the Carrefour was plenty adequate. So yeah, we're absolutely loving it. We do have some other things to share, I think, which would be just today. In terms of lucky things that we brought, first lucky thing is we bought the power brick. Hopefully you can see that power brick. And secondly, we brought our Hoover from our vacuum cleaner from the flat in Switzerland. So 2 very lucky items, because firstly, without the power brick, there's only one power socket in this fan, if you can see there. As with the previous fan that we hired, there's no inverter in this fan, and so there's no mains power. It's just a pass through from the from the mains that we supply to the vehicle. So the first lucky thing is we brought this power block just in case, and so you can see you've got a whole smorgasbord of things plugged in there, and that's very important, otherwise we don't even be able to charge one thing at one time. It is a bit of a constant battle to keep everything charged, but more so for us because we've got gadgets like sports watches, GPS, heart rate monitor, and so those things need charging sort of after every use, really. We've even got bicycle lights here, which we used. We had on bicycle lights yesterday in the daytime for safety. So it is a bit of a constant battle, but I think it's worth it. And again, having a campsite with electricity or an air with electricity really helps. So yeah, that's the learning points for today. We're soon to be on our way. Agatha's busy iPadding to try and find us a place where we could go hiking today, and we'll leave it to it. Okay, thanks very much for watching, Dowry.